are you the best point guard ever?
Yes. It's me and Magic. That's the conversation.
Yeah.
What up? What up? What up? It's your boy back again. Marlo knows basketball and Marlo knows boxing. Back at y'all with another one. I had to come on here and talk about this, man. I couldn't let this slide. I couldn't let this ride, man. Stephen Curry is delusional. He's delusional, and there's one other person that's as delusional or more delusional than him that we gonna talk about later on in the video, because it's a lot of weird stuff going on with this guy. But for Stephen Curry to really come out and say that he really thinks he's greater than Magic Johnson, bro, you don't have the resume to say that you better than Magic Johnson. I mean, we all know Stephen Curry will be 36 years old next year. He's still playing at a high level. But to date, as of right now, he has not put together the resume that Earvin Magic Johnson has put together. And Magic did it in a shorter amount of time. I mean, we all know Stephen Curry changed the game. We all know Stephen Curry made the three-point shot more popular than it's ever been. And he showed he was able to, him along with Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors, Klay Thompson and them boys, they showed that a jump shooting team could win a championship, which had never been done. And they created a dynasty doing it, man. Four championships. Two of them, I will say, thanks to Kevin Durant. But, you know, he put together a great career, man. This is not a bash Stephen Curry video. This is just to bring it back to reality video. This is a bringing it back to reality and telling people to stop the nonsense. Because you can't be greater than somebody by doing less than them. As great as Stephen Curry is, and as good as his resume is, when you match it up to Magic Johnson, it doesn't stack up. You would need another Hall of Fame resume to add to Stephen Curry's resume. You would literally have to add Dirk Nowitzki's resume to Stephen Curry's resume for Stephen Curry to have the resume to match up with Magic Johnson. You would have to add Dirk Nowitzki's resume. Dirk Nowitzki, of course, won championship, one Finals MVP, one MVP, multiple first-team All-NBA selections. You would have to add Dirk Nowitzki's resume to Stephen Curry's resume for it to add up to Magic Johnson, and that's saying a whole lot, man. So there's a Hall of Fame resume gap in between Stephen Curry and Magic Johnson. Then people want to talk about how Stephen Curry changed the game. Magic saved the game. Before Magic Johnson and Larry Bird came into the league was dying. The ratings were down. People weren't watching. Networks had it on tape delay. The games weren't even live. And Magic and Larry changed all that. They made the game popular. The Showtime Lakers made the game fun. They were box office, man. Box office. And without Magic and Larry, the game wouldn't even have existed for Stephen Curry to make the three-point shot popular. The game would have died in the 70s and 80s. It would have been dead and gone if it wasn't for Magic Johnson. So Magic saved the game. So when you talk about changing the game, Magic saved it. It wouldn't be here without Magic. And yes, of course, man, Stephen Curry has birthed a lot of different players like Trae Young. A lot of different players that now are pulling up from really deep range because of Stephen Curry. Yes, he did birth players like Trae Young. But Magic Johnson birthed players like Penny Hardaway. Before Magic Johnson, there weren't any 6'8", 6'9" guards running around, man. And Penny Hardaway is a prime example of a 6'8" point guard that wouldn't have been a point guard if it wasn't for him having that example of Magic Johnson. So Magic Johnson birthed a lot of players too that imitated him. And once again, like I said before, man, Stephen Curry is a whole Hall of Fame career away from Magic Johnson. The gap between Stephen Curry and Magic Johnson is a Hall of Fame career. I mean, we have it right here, folks. 5 championships to 4. 12 All-Star selections to 9. 3 MVPs to 2 MVPs. 3 Finals MVPs for Magic to 1 Finals MVP for Curry. 9 first-team All-NBA selections for Magic to only 4 for Curry. And if you want to talk about statistics, yeah, Stephen Curry is obviously a better scorer than Magic Johnson. But that's it. That's literally all he's better than Magic at. Magic averaged more rebounds than Stephen Curry, averaged more assists than Stephen Curry, more steals than Stephen Curry, more blocks than Stephen Curry. That's 4 of the major stats. There's points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. And Magic beats Stephen Curry in 4 of them. So I'm struggling to see where the legitimate argument is for Stephen Curry. There isn't one. Now, I don't know if Stephen Curry really truly believes that, or Gilbert Arenas might have caught him off guard and he might have said something he really doesn't mean. But if Stephen Curry really meant that and really thinks that he's greater than Magic Johnson, my only response to that is,
stop it. Get some help.
If Curry really believes that, I mean, I don't know if he got high before the show, man, if he's dealing with something behind the scenes, but he might need to go to rehab if he really believes that he's greater than Magic Johnson. I mean, the resume is the resume. He knows his ain't up to par. And out of everybody that has responded to what Stephen Curry and Gilbert Arenas and them was saying, the only person that seems to agree with Stephen Curry is Stephen A. Smith. And I've been noticing for a while now, man, Stephen A. Smith, the way his eyes light up when he starts talking about Stephen Curry, how he overrates him and he says things like he's greater than Magic with no real argument to back it up other than he's the greatest shooter God ever created. I mean, obviously we know he's the greatest three-point shooter. Nobody's disputing that. But to say that he's a better all-around player, a greater all-around player, and has a resume to compare himself or be greater than Magic Johnson, Stephen A. Smith knows that's not true. And he doesn't even make an argument when he says it. He just says, he's the greatest shooter God ever created. And the way his eyes light up like that, I mean, we hold all of the bronze sexuals accountable. We got to start holding these Curry sexuals accountable too, man. These Curry fanboys can be out of control as well. Stephen A. Smith is the only one that's really famous like that, only one that's respected. The way his eyes light up like that, it reminds me of a look that I once saw in a man's eyes when he was talking about another man. And it's kind of unsettling, man. It's kind of unsettling. I see that same look in Nick Wright's eyes when he talks about LeBron, and Kendrick Perkins' eyes when he talks about LeBron. They're bronze sexuals. We got to hold these Curry sexuals accountable too as well, man. And that look in Stephen A. Smith's eyes when he talks about Stephen Curry reminds me of somebody. And that look that Stephen A. Smith has in his eyes when he talks about Stephen Curry, man. I mean, if Stephen Curry's ever around this guy and they're alone, I wouldn't fall asleep around him. Because Stephen A. Smith be having that booty warrior look on his face when he be talking about Stephen Curry, and it's really unsettling. It's very, very unsettling. I really truly believe that this is how Stephen A. feels about Stephen Curry.
When I see one and he looks good to me, when I go see him, I say, "You come here." I say, "I'm telling you what, I like you and I want you, and we can do it the easy way or the hard way. So the choice is yours, right?"